Welcome to Living Well with Mary Lou Andre, a 30-minute monthly lifestyle program to help you live better on your own terms by being inspired by thought-provoking leaders who make the world a better place to live and thrive. I'm your host, Mary Lou Andre, and today I'm excited to introduce you to Meredith Mendelson. Meredith is currently the Executive Director of the Ellie Fund, an organization headquartered here in Needham that provides essential support services for breast cancer patients to ease the stresses of everyday life, allowing the focus to be on the family, recovering, and healing. Prior to accepting what she considers to be her dream job, Meredith was a law school student receiving her degree from Lewis and Clark College, a business owner. She ran a Cold Stone Creamery franchise, and a seasoned fundraising professional serving several nonprofits in Boston, including the Home for Little Wanderers, where she was the Vice President of Development, Communications, and Advocacy. Meredith, who stood alongside her own mom as she lived with metastatic breast cancer for 8 years, is naturally drawn to the Ellie Fund's mission of supporting patients and funding care after seeing firsthand the effect that a cancer diagnosis can have on a family. For her entire professional life, Meredith has been lifted by other women as she developed her career. She is proud to be in a position to pay that forward in a significant way as the leader of the Ellie Fund. Please join me in welcoming Meredith Mendelson. Meredith, thank you so much for joining us today. You have a remarkable story, and the Ellie Fund is just an incredible organization. I've already learned so much from connecting with you about the good work of the organization. But I'd like to start our 30 minutes, we have so much to cover, with some background on you. I find that anyone that is running an organization like that brings so much to the table, and I love to give our viewers an insight into your background, what makes you tick, your leadership, and all the good work that you're doing, and help us understand where you want this organization to go in the future as well. So let's start with the early years of your professional career. I know you're from a family of lawyers, and you take us from law school right up until accepting the job at the Ellie Fund. And I have a couple questions that I'll interject as we lead this story, because I just, in listening to you, learned so much about your leadership from hearing your story. So law school, and take it away.
Wow, that is really lovely, and thank you for inviting me on your show. It is very unnatural to speak about myself because I always want the focus to be on the Ellie Fund and on our patients and the changes that we're making in Massachusetts. So to be asked to speak about myself is, I haven't done it in a long time, so I'll do my best.
Okay.
But after law school, I was pretty sure I didn't want to be an attorney as I was in law school, but I was there and I was going to finish. And I did, and I studied a lot about juvenile law, and that was really a passion for me, making the case, and actually at the state level, for making sure that juveniles who committed a crime before they were 18 were not remanded to adult court. That was a really important issue for me, so that's what I studied and served on some task forces. And right after that, I moved to Massachusetts, where I had gone to college in Rhode Island, so I was missing the East Coast and the scene and the vibe and my friends. Moved back, and I started right away working for different nonprofits raising money. So lots of different nonprofits raising money. I have a really zigzaggy career.
Yes, you do.
Non-linear.
Yeah.
So I raised money, I helped a lot of different nonprofits, and then I had a conversation with my husband, and we were speaking about, if you won $1 million, what would you do for work? I mean, this is 30 years ago, so $1 million seems like $1 billion. And I said, I would run an ice cream store.
Okay.
I just want to run an ice cream store.
I love that part of your story. So Meredith, because I love sharing, and thank you, we are going to get into the Ellie Fund, but I really think people enjoy seeing the leadership and the stories that really shape an organization. So what I loved when you were sharing your story with me, tell our audience what ice cream, so she owned a Cold, what is
Stone
it? Cold
Creamery.
Creamery. What does that have to do with your first, really big job in nonprofit, which was at the Home for Little Wanderers?
So when the store was up and running for about 10 years, and when it closed, we had crazy amounts of ice cream. And we gave it away everywhere that meant something to us. So senior centers, and at that time we worked with Mayor Menino to get it out into the communities. And I had heard about the Home for Little Wanderers, and so I called them and I said, would you be interested in ice cream? And surprisingly, they said yes, and it was Christmas time, and so we brought coolers and coolers of ice cream, and it was like probably a holiday flavor, knowing us, a peppermint something. And they shared it with not only kids in their program, but the entire team and staff. And I learned more about the home, and I was really impressed by them. And then I took some time off, and when I decided to go back to work, I looked at the home. And they had an opportunity for a major gifts officer. So I called and I said, not sure if you remember me. I brought the ice cream
lady.
Before I was an ice cream woman, I was a fundraiser. I think I could help.
Okay.
And so I was hired by this group of incredible women, one of whom is a Needham resident, Lisa Rowan Gillis.
Yeah, we have a lot of Needham connections in your story.
Yeah.
So, and tell our viewers a little bit about the mission of the home.
So the home really makes sure that children in foster care have social and mental well-being. It's not just foster care. It could be mental health programs in schools. They're the largest provider of mental health services in Boston Public Schools.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
They have their own foster care system, but they also help families, work through difficult times. And, in some cases when things are really bad and children have to be removed from the home, they have really reputable programs for that. So it was something that was really important to me.
Okay, and you were there for 4 years, is that correct?
8 years.
8 years, okay. And you said something when we were chatting, you said that you'd always been lifted by other women, and that really struck a chord with me. So can you just share what that means to you and your experience with having other women really help you as you developed your career?
Sure, and I've had some pretty amazing male role models too, but I firmly believe, and I feel sad when I hear stories that people were not helped by women or they felt not supportive. My story is the exact opposite. A perfect example is at the Home for Little Wanderers. I came in as a major gift officer. The vice president of development and communications was Lisa Rowan Gillis, was leaving for another job. And there was a manager in between us who I adored. Her name was Marcia Allen. And I said to Marcia, and I was really young at this point, I said, are you going for Lisa's job? Is that something that you're interested in? And she's like, no, I'm going to retire. It's too much responsibility. And I said, would you help me get that job?
And she did.
And she did. And she went right into Lisa and she said, I don't want this job, but Meredith does, and I really think she can do it. And Lisa backed me. And so she took it to the CEO and she said, I believe that Meredith is the future of the home.
Yeah, I love that story.
She
and
handed me
thank
the
you
job.
for sharing it, because when we were talking, and we covered a lot of ground, that there was a few things in your story that stood out. One was the ice cream story, because I love those magical connections that lead to bigger things. I loved what you said about women. I myself have been lifted by women as well, and I take that very seriously in terms of paying it forward.
Absolutely.
And I know that you and I are similar that way. So certainly what you do at the Ellie Fund is lifting women every day. So I really wanted you to share that. So thank you.
Of course.
So next, you're 8 years at the Home for Little Wanderers. You're really honing your skills at this point, because that's a no joke organization. You're doing good work there. So next on your career ladder.
So I decided that I really wanted some flexibility when my kids got to middle school, and it was pre-pandemic. It was pre-everything.
Yeah.
There really wasn't such a thing, and so I decided to leave my position, which was hard because I adored the place. I still do, and start as a fundraising consultant for nonprofits that, you know, wanted to grow and maybe didn't have the types of budget to hire a senior person in development, but they could hire a piece of a person.
A piece of a person.
You know, the
like
heart,
that.
the brain, whatever. And so I started, it was called MLB Philanthropy, and that was my consulting firm. And so I had a lot of really wonderful clients. And once again, Lisa Rowan Gillis, the woman who ran the Ellie Fund before me, Gail Fine, who is a much beloved member
wonderful.
of the community.
Mm-hmm.
She was ready to retire and be a grandmother and all those wonderful things, and so they needed to do a search. And of course, they approached Lisa to see if she wanted the job. And Lisa said, I don't, but I know someone. Unfortunately, my mother had just died from metastatic breast cancer, and I always had a hope to run an organization, but I never thought it would be breast cancer.
Wow.
I always thought it would
incredible.
be mental health
Yeah.
or child welfare.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I always say it's like Lisa was varsity and I was JV, and she's like, well, you can't have me, but I know someone. So she lifted me up
She did.
again, and it worked out. And so taking this position at the Ellie Fund was not natural for me. It was very soon. My mother died in 2014. So maybe it was 3 years, but it was still pretty raw. And I just wasn't entirely sure that I could handle the breast cancer conversation.
Okay.
And then I said, you know, my mother would want me to do this because we could help people that were less fortunate than us. And there's a huge mental health component to a breast cancer diagnosis, and that's really what spoke to me, and I wanted to see if I could elevate that.
Yeah.
And elevate the fact that, you know, not everybody with breast cancer has the same outcome.
Right.
And when I started to learn about the disparities in outcomes, even in Massachusetts, where we have the best hospitals in the world, I knew I could make a difference with the right team.
Okay. So tell our audience, because I didn't know all that you did. I did not know, for instance, that the Ellie Fund was not need-based.
Correct.
So please share a high-level overview of what the Ellie Fund does,
Sure.
and then we'll get into some of the specific programs.
And I don't want to forget the history either.
Yes.
Eleanor Rose Popkin, was a mom who lived in the 80s with metastatic breast cancer for an extremely long time, longer than anybody thought.
Yeah.
And she had 2 sons, Jeff and Elliot. Jeff is a Needham resident with his wife Heidi and their 3 amazing children, one of whom is named Ellie. And they felt that their support in the community had sort of dissipated over time, and they felt really isolated. And back then, people spoke about breast cancer much differently than now. There was more of a taboo, and they had to work through that. And so when Eleanor passed away, the 2 sons decided they were going to do something to honor their mom. And they started running the marathon, and they were young, and, you know, selling T-shirts and starting to do things for the families of people. So the birth, they were in Newton, but it's a Needham organization for 30 years. And so what we are need blind, which to us means that you don't need to be eligible for the Ellie Fund because you need something. That's not our goal. We happen to take care of a lot of people who have financial barriers that preclude them from treating their breast cancer early and often, not being able to take off work, not having childcare, food for their families. We do have that. But we also have people that are fully employed, fully insured, but need or want a community.
Yeah.
And our mission is not just to relieve financial stress, it's also to relieve emotional stress.
Okay.
And by doing that, we offer things like groceries for at a place they want to shop, childcare reimbursement, transportation to treatment, huge. people that live alone. They sometimes need someone to take them home from procedures. They're not allowed to do that, so we can pay for a medical escort. And then there's also, integrative therapy, housekeeping, the things that you don't really think about, but make, the tumultuousness steady for a minute so that they can gather their bearings and be healthy.
Yeah, and you shared that you work with about 2,000 women a year?
It's men and women,
Men and women.
so to really make the case that we do serve men, and men do get breast cancer. And the majority, of course, are women, and we have the capacity in 2025 to serve 2,000 patients, and of course their families, because it is a family disease. And so everybody, the family is really important to us to take care of.
Yeah. So what's on the horizon for, I know October's a big month for you.
Absolutely.
And I did want to say, just saying to our viewers, Wellesley has gone pink. Needham has not gone pink.
It's fair.
So, and
it's a fair statement.
we are very competitive with our Wellesley neighbors. So talk about why October is such a big month for you. I think people know a little bit about that, but go a little bit deeper, and then share with why you would love Needham to adopt that concept.
Right. So October, of course, is important to all breast cancer organizations about fundraising and also awareness.
Yeah.
Breast cancer isn't an October disease, it's year-round. But we recognize that that's when it's on people's minds. And so we really believe that there's so many aspects. There's the research aspect, there's policy, there's advocacy, there's so many parts of it. And other people do those really, really well. We have taken on the patient journey. We know the patient journey. After 30 years and dozens of thousands of patients, we understand what it takes to get from point A to point B and what to wrap around the patient. And so for us, it's a lot about getting the word out to patients. We always see a spike in the amount of applications that we get in November. And we know that's because we got people to start talking about people they know. Maybe it's your soccer coach, maybe it's the, someone at your church or whatever. Tell them about the Ellie Fund. Tell them that there's no barrier to entry.
There's no barrier to entry. How do they get in touch with you? You said that they find out about you and just go right to your website, referred by doctors. What are some of the other ways that people find out about you?
So we do have a self-referral program, so people can easily refer.
That's awesome.
Launched. Our application is in multiple languages now, which is really great. And so there's a lot of word of mouth about the Ellie Fund.
And it takes the whole state. You can live anywhere in Massachusetts.
Anywhere in Massachusetts, or actually you can live elsewhere.
Okay.
But if you're getting your treatment in Massachusetts,
that's a good clarifier. Yeah. Okay, so people this month of October obviously is very important to breast cancer research, everything.
All of it.
So a lot of folks, and what are you guys doing in particular?
So we have really amazing community ambassadors, and we have them all, really 4 or 5 that are really crushing it. And Wellesley, sorry.
That's okay.
The Wellesley,
we like a little competition here in Needham.
Well, the Wellesley Service League sort of built the Ellie Fund, the power of it, by delivering meals. So it used to be all delivered by volunteers. It's different now. It's more online. People need their own nutritional, needs, and so we let people order what they want. It's very patient-driven, our services, so they get to decide. We don't come in.
Had to start somewhere, so that's it's still
a
big. You share with me too. People can get gift cards to grocery stores. It's amazing what you do.
It's dignified. It's not waiting in line for assistance. You can give your neighbor a gift card and say, I'm feeling that I want cut up fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I want it to be organic. And you also don't want them to pay for it.
Correct.
But you can say,
give them a gift card. I love that. That was one of my takeaways as well.
And also with children.
Yeah.
You have kids with cars, or even not, that can go to Roach Brothers or wherever and pick up dinner for that night. That really helps the kids feel empowered.
Huge.
So part of the way we do this is by turning different cities pink.
Okay.
And so Wellesley, their retail associations turned Linden Square pink. So every storefront will be decorated for the Ellie Fund. So whether you're a spa or a clothing store, and every store does something different, but it's all about them saying to their customers, there's a service here and we want you to know about it.
Okay, is it also tied to fundraising, Meredith?
In some cases, a lot of people, you'll say, we're going to give 20% of the proceeds for this night, or if it's a clothing store, we're selling pink cashmere, stoles or ponchos.
I hope our merchants are listening and getting some good ideas.
I hope so too.
And if there is somebody listening that would like to take the charge of turning Needham pink, would they reach out directly to you?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I mean, we have a team. It's
okay.
not.
Yeah,
it's
you've
not
got
the
16
Meredith
employees
team.
too. Yeah. Okay. So there's someone on your team who would love to turn Needham pink.
Yes, and there's examples of how other places did it. Marblehead is doing it right now. We did Charles Street in Boston. There are others, Osterville on the Cape. So, it's happening. We just need the right energy. And I know that the energy is in Needham. I just need to figure out who it is.
Okay, so if you're listening, reach out.
Yeah.
They need you. This is incredible. So, going back to whether I know you have like a gala, correct?
We do.
And what month is that in?
So it's always the Sunday of the Academy Awards, and that date changes from year to year. This year, in 2026, it's Sunday, March 15th.
Okay.
It takes place at the Omni Seaport in Boston, and our media partner, Channel 5, Needham based, they really help us put on a show. And
I've heard.
It's incredible. Yeah. It really is. And, people say Boston isn't a place that dresses up. We're not New York, we're not Miami or LA. Well, let me tell you, on Oscar night, they come out for the Ellie Fund. And patients are there and our volunteers, and it's really, we have a full red carpet. And it's our largest fundraiser of the year. It raises almost $1 million to help pay for our services.
And you did share that right now you're a $4 million organization.
A little over, and we will grow significantly.
Okay, so that's also a significant goal. So you're doing fundraising to pay the bills. You're doing patient advocacy, patient service, and you also said something to me that I just thought was so beautiful. You're waiting for the time when the Ellie Fund is in kind of a adjunct service over here. It's part of the person's treatment. So talk a little bit about your philosophy there.
So that's our main goal. And we always thought there should be a financial literacy conversation, or how do you get to treatment? How do you do all these things that it takes in order to walk in the door at the treatment facility? And we had the benefit of a conversation with Dr. Beverly Moy, who's the head of oncology at Mass General. And she said, the Ellie Fund is not an extra. It's what makes somebody whole. And the only way to make sure that people get that is for the Ellie Fund to be part of a treatment plan. And that was enough. That we heard that and we said, that's it. The Ellie Fund needs to be a part of the treatment plan. It is not an extra.
Yeah.
And so everything we've done has been to become part of the treatment plan and to remove the barriers for people that don't have the access that you and I would if we got sick and needed care. So those two driving factors are, I know, what gets my team up every day. And
you also have a support group.
We do. Yeah. We have support groups, some online, some in person. We have one for metastatic disease, which is stage 4, which is very different from stages 0 to 3, and they have different needs, and they want to talk about different topics, and so we provide both, and we'd like to do more. When we get the funding, we'd like to open up a Latina support group, maybe something for the Asian American community. There's so many different communities that need their own space to talk about their breast cancer journey, and they need to hear from people in their community that have gone through it. So that's another goal.
Yeah, so you have a lot of pillars here that really add up to a wellness approach. There's so much.
It's really holistic.
It really is. I love that.
Yeah.
So how can our viewers get in touch with you, the organization? How can they volunteer? If they have a family member that has been diagnosed, what's the best way for people to reach you?
There is an inquiry form on our website at www.elliefund.org,
Okay.
and we will answer that promptly. I think that if you are active on social media, if you follow us, you can direct message us, even if you're someone looking for care for their sister or yourself. We're very responsive on that. And, of course you can email me.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's Meredith at elliefund.org. And I have this incredible team of mostly women. We do have
a couple
Drew.
guys.
We have Drew. And they take those inquiries really seriously, and they do the work. They are the magic.
Yeah.
I'm just here talking to you about it.
Well, your leadership too, Meredith, and that's why I wanted to start with your background, because for me, when I was chatting with you and getting to know you, it definitely felt like a lead up, and then the piece with your mom, and I'm so sorry, just felt like it was more of a calling than anything.
Well, that's nice. Thank you.
We're wrapping up now, and I always ask all of my guests, what does living well mean to you, Meredith?
Well, I think health is wealth.
Yeah.
And I think being able to, for me, it's being healthy enough to see my family and friends. And to, I know everyone tries to strike balances, and sometimes you can't, and sometimes you can, but as long as you have your health, I think that's the real balance that means something to me. And if my work can help other people preserve their health, then that's my version of living well.
Great. And health is your wealth, that's for sure. So thank you so much for coming. We're going to get all your information up on the show. Anyone in Needham that wants to turn this town pink, this is the lady you want to talk with. And we do have a Needham High club, Ellie Fund
there's the
club.
Ellie Fund at Needham High.
So we don't want to be exactly pushing everyone under the bus here, but
oh no, we have a lot of support in Needham. Needham youth soccer, all the teams.
So anyway, just wonderful to learn more about another amazing resource in our community, and thank you so much for stopping by. We'll be back next month with another edition of Living Well, and we'll be bringing you another extraordinary leader like Meredith. Thank you so much, Meredith.